Hi, everyone. It's Leah Dunlap, the Oracle on Purpose, and this is Oracle Live TV. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm so glad that you guys are here and watching tonight or watching the replay. And as we mentioned last week, we've kind of changed it up a little bit, and we're talking about a topic tonight that, of course, for me is really close to my heart, which is talking about our passions and our inner awesomeness. Plus, in a few minutes, we're going to have a professional quitter on our show. And when you find out about what she's up to and how she utilizes that amazing juiciness of her own purpose and passion, you're going to be amazed. And so stay tuned, sit down, put your feet up. And, when we talk about inner passion, or excuse me, your passion and your inner awesomeness, I think that a lot of people still get kind of twisted up about following a passion, following a purpose, how to do it. And it's all like they're looking outside. Like, how do I find it? Where is it? Is it hiding under a rock? Is it hiding under a bush? Do I have to go high on the mountain or, down in the valley to go find this? And I always want to help people understand that you came here complete. Everything you need to be and express and enjoy in your life is part of who you are. It's part and parcel of who you are. And really, when we think about like, what is that inner awesomeness and whether or not you feel like you're aligned with it, it's a good sign if you look to see, when do you feel like you've got your mojo? When does it feel like you are really connected, you're energized, you're, open to possibility and looking at the world as if you could really do anything? To me, those are like indicators, right? Like signposts that say, hey, guess what? Right now, you're on purpose. So the idea of understanding and engaging in what you're passionate about, I really want to help people understand that by giving yourself permission, right, to look inside and trust what comes, trust what you hear, trust that inner knowingness that you were born with. And I will say one kind of caveat or one, what is that Superman has? Oh, kryptonite. One kryptonite for finding your your passion and your inner awesomeness. Okay, come here. Come a little closer. You ready? Single word. Comparison. Comparing yourself to other people, other coaches, other healers, other business leaders, other icons. It's like the number one way to ensure that you are going to not find your own inner awesomeness, because it's yours and it's unique to who you are. And I think that when we really take the time to appreciate ourselves, appreciate what's unique and different and interesting about us, that is when the world gets the best of us. And ultimately, that's why you're here. You are here to give your most unique, juicy self to the world. And it doesn't have to be hard. And if it's feeling hard, or if you're feeling like you can't figure it out, check in. Are you comparing yourself to other people? Are you searching outside of yourself for some reflection back of something you haven't even taken the time to see inside yourself yet? Where do you feel most aligned? Where do you feel happiest and most at peace, most joyful? Now, that's the passion piece, right? I always like to let people know that there's like a little shift to that when you talk about purpose. Because when people think that they're on purpose, sometimes they confuse that with the idea that they'll always be happy and everything will be easy. Like being in your purpose should feel easy all the time. I like to say it will feel aligned. You'll feel attuned. You'll feel energized from a place of like being able to go farther. Doesn't always mean that while you're doing your purpose, it's easy. It's might be simple, but it's not always easy. And I talked to someone a few months back, and we were having this conversation about that. And one of the things that when we talked about it, I said, if you're really on purpose, it becomes a mission, right? It becomes something that inside of you are driven to finish. It's like, I just had a client the other day who's been trying to write a book forever. Not forever, but for a very long time. And we move the stone in the way of that. But what's even more important, and this is kind of what I'm saying, is that book has been in her the whole time, right? And suddenly she's 90% done. I think it was like last week. It's Wednesday? So within a week, she's 90% finished with the book after years of trying to get serious and write the book. So there's a part of us that's always trying to be expressed from a place of fulfillment, fulfilling our purpose. So if you are out there and you caught the teaser to this call tonight and you were thinking about, where do I find it? I want to encourage you to be sure that you're looking inside first, and not just looking from a place of judgment, but listening with your heart, listening with that, like your whole being, to what really vibrates highest in who you are and how you be in the world. And when you find that peace, start to nurture it. Start to listen more, act on that energy more. And if you need help formalizing, focusing, or even uncluttering everything around it, then reach out. If not to me, to someone else who can sit with you, hold space, and help you really hone that vision and really attach to that core piece of who you are and why you're here. So speaking of why we're here tonight, I am really happy to share my guest with you tonight. She is a bright light in the universe. And even though I tease that she is a quitter, she's going to share with us a little bit about why that might be just the thing you need to do. Tonight's guest is Robin Keehn. She's the founder of Quitting Culture. All right, Robin, I am so glad you are here tonight. I am going to do a little fancy switcheroo. And so everybody can spell your name better than I did earlier, by the way, in the post. I noticed. It's Keehn, correct? All right, there we go. Okay, so Robin, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? And of course, everybody's probably on the edge of their seat right now. Quitting culture. What the heck? What does that mean? And what are you up to with that?
Sure. Well, thanks so much, Leah, for inviting me to be here with you tonight. It's really fun. I'm excited about it. So yes, quitting culture is my thing, and keeping people going on the right things and helping them quit everything that is not aligned with their purpose is what I'm all about. So exactly what you've just been talking about. I grew up in a family where my mom and dad taught me 100% that when you were committed to something, there was no getting out of it. That was everything from piano lessons to babysitting. And I always reference, I remember being 14 and having all these babysitting jobs, and some really cute boy from school asked me out. And I was like, can I please get out of this? And they were like, sorry, no, you're going to have to go. I remember there was no choice. And so I grew up just, my superpower is really committing and never quitting. And with that in mind, I've got 4 kids between a senior in high school and a 27-year-old, and they're all committers too. They get a lot done. And then I had a big music and dance school, and, I worked with hundreds of families to keep their kids going. So I've noticed that there's a kind of an epidemic of quitting. So we enroll our kids, and then they want to do something different, and we let them, and then we do something different, and they want to do something different. And so, because I coached parents in that for a couple of decades, I wrote a program last year and released it in January called Raising Quit Proof Kids. And
Wow.
I've got a bunch of kids, a bunch of parents in there. It's a parenting program about how to select the right activities and know what you actually want. Like, do you want them to try it, experience it, complete it, master it, and what the duration is, and then walking them through the steps about who they need to be, the parents, to keep their kids going. So, funny thing is, I have these parents in this program that's less than 2 hours long, online program, and they're not finishing it. And I went,
Huh.
oh, we've got another problem going on here, and that is that parents can't get through 2 hours of content. So what does that actually mean? So I kind of did a reframe this summer, and I went, yeah, we really do live in a quitting culture, and I want to help people through that. And you said something about, I think you said something about kryptonite earlier. So,
Right.
like, okay, so my kryptonite, I have discovered, is that I am an overcommitter. And I am so
Mm.
committed that I will not quit. And that means I won't quit when my intuition is saying, you should really not do this. And my body is like, stop doing this. And everything is saying stop. I wouldn't stop. So I walked down some paths in some relationships
Mm.
where I knew I needed out and I didn't. And I walked down some paths in business where the best thing would have been to quit and I didn't. And so, what I really help people with is realigning with their actual purpose and then looking at all of the commitments they've made and helping them identify which ones align and which ones have nothing to do with who I am being in the world and who I'm meant to be. And I go through a process with people of what I call accountable quitting. So
Mm.
self off the hook, and then also accountably ending whatever it is with other people in a way that leaves everybody feeling like it's a win-win, or at least it's not a like, gosh, what were you thinking? How rude, right?
Right. Yeah. And I just love that. In fact, I finished a challenge recently where we help people find their business sweet spot. And one of the things in this room that you just reminded me of it, is I teach a similar process, which is called delete, delegate, automate.
Mm,
And we do it based on that. Like what is the purpose that you're here to serve? And does what you're doing, this like thing you're committing to, align with it or not? And then if it doesn't, because then people are like, but what do I do with it? It's like, well, either sometimes yes, you have to delete it, you have to quit.
yeah.
Other times it's like, well, just find somebody else to do it for you. Or, find a way to automate it so you're not physically, attached to doing this process. I love that. And I think that that's it's interesting you bring this up too, because, as a certified clinical hypnotherapist, one of the things we learned early on was stop smoking, not quit smoking.
Oh, mm-hmm.
And there was a whole process about that. Like mentally, if we see quitting as a negative thing,
Yeah.
we won't succeed, right? So there is that idea, like I love it, that if we embrace the idea that there is this quitting culture, but there is a way that we can reframe it. And it sounds like that's what you've done. Is that correct? Is that accurate?
Yeah, it's like two sides of the coin, right? There
Right.
are times when it's absolutely appropriate. It would be the best thing in the world for us to say, you know what, this isn't working. And I'm going to end. And I'm gonna either, end it with myself and say, guess what? So Robin, you're not eating sugar. And then I find myself in a bag of M&Ms. The better thing for me would be I beat myself up. And the better thing would be say, oh, look at you, you're eating M&Ms. I guess you don't really mean it. And that's no problem at all. So you're off the hook, right? Instead, we're like, gosh, why can't I just do what I said I was going to do, right? So there there are layers to this, and I think when people hear
Right.
culture, they think it's negative, but I'm saying no, it's both. It
Right.
can
Yeah.
be when you're quitting things that are what you should be doing. Um, Quitting can be bad when you just slip away, because I really believe that unintended quitting or unintentional or not present quitting leads to feeling scattered, lower self-esteem, lack of self-worth. If it's taken to an extreme, isolation and depression, right? It
Mm.
can lead to some bad stuff. And so there are ways to quit that can prevent doing all of that damage and leaving no one feeling terrible.
Right. Yeah, because energy is energy, right? So you just keep holding on to that, either that or you're passing it on to someone like your kids. And it's like we do. I think it's beautiful that you're holding a space for something that people probably don't want to admit.
Yeah,
A lot of times, like those parents, like, okay, we really gave it the old college try, or we were really thought we were committed. I loved how you said that about the M&Ms, because that's another one, of course, the diet culture of like
Yeah.
abuse, like self-abuse, right? Like you're just creating this space to just kind of beat yourself up rather than being, it sounds almost like, I want to say like honest with yourself,
It,
right? Just like
yeah.
really clear.
And,
Yeah.
and so, one more thing about that is, so when we don't actually quit things, or when we leave things incomplete. So like if I said, well, I could tell you, I was listing my stuff of what are my open promises or commitments that I haven't completed yet. And I have somebody, a former secretary from back years ago when I was right out of graduate school. And I had told her, she's in her 70s, and I told her, I'll call you. Well, I didn't. And so, you know what? That silly reminder would pop off in my head at 2 a.m. Or, when I couldn't possibly call her, or I'd be in the middle of the conversation with somebody named Karen. Her name is Karen. I'd be like, oh, I never called Karen. Right. And so, what's so crazy about that is it drains our time and our energy and our focus. So, like, just ending things and saying, I'm not, or I am, or whatever it is, completing them, it just gives you so much more bandwidth than what you had. You just have
Right.
to accomplish the things you really should do. So
Right. That's so important. It's like, we often talk about like people will say like holding on to baggage or carrying baggage around, and they don't realize like that's energetic baggage. And then you think of baggage again, like you said, like as a negative thing, but it's not really even necessarily negative. It's using your energy. I call that like energy detractors, right? They're just sucking your energy, and you don't even realize it until it, like you said, suddenly it pops up, and you're like, oh. Which,
yeah,
if you think about it for a moment, like you said, okay, so I've been carrying this around for how long? Like, if you look at, what is it? The human mind can only hold 7 bits of information at one time, which means something really important that's present in your life has been given up to that one bit of information that is, not Karen, wherever you are, we love you and we wish you well. And I have a feeling Robin's going to call you after this. But anyway, but I mean, it's like, it's not as urgent or important, and yet it's still bubbling, like you said, bubbling up to the surface and taking space and taking energy that it doesn't need to. Wow. And I really think if I just suddenly got this image of like, imagine yourself sitting at a desk with piles of paper, and unless you put them away and call them done, they just keep adding and adding, and suddenly you're completely covered by all these little needly things that don't really need to be there. I
yeah.
think it's fascinating. So I know that we've talked, and I know that you yourself as an entrepreneur and as someone who's working on this great project and this great mission to really help people with this quitting culture. How might I, as the Oracle, help you move that process forward? Where are you at next? What's your next big thing, and how can I help serve you today?
Thank you. So I have a question that might seem really odd in this context, but so I'm actually a little bit unsure if I really should leave my brand as quitting culture, or if
Mm.
that's like really just a little bit too much. Like I'm not changing my stand. Like I'm not changing my stand because I'm clear this was very much like you need to do this. I'm like, okay, I will do this. And yet that's been like one of the biggest things on my mind. Is this the right name, or should I
Mm.
change what I'm calling it just so that it feels more welcoming to people and it can be more of a conversation rather than, you said I should do what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so what's coming for me right now, and this is as those of you who've watched before know, I often reflect that I see things, hear things, and feel things for my clients when I talk to them. And one of the things that happens is when we are on, when we've kind of, where as you're talking, I will either see like a flash of an image or something like that. The other thing that happens is I get what I call the flush. I get a whoosh through my body when I know we're on.
Yeah.
I bring that up because that happened just a moment ago. So two things happen simultaneously. It's not a full flush, which was kind of interesting. So I was noting that. It's almost like a yes and and it's I think when I got that though, I think what you're on, on target with is, and I get it again now. So yes, what you're on with is the concept, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I and I think that what she's hinting to is what would be no, sorry, she doesn't like when I mess up her words. So why do you think you need to change the title?
Mm.
Where is that coming from? That's really the question. Where is that idea that you need to change it coming from?
I've had some people that I consider very reliable and very kind of very business savvy say to me, that brand name, I think that just is, like it repels people, and
Mm-hmm.
it's has such a negative connotation, and it means that you really can't. There are some people you'll never have a conversation with because they'll see that name and go, I don't want anything to do with that. So that's
Mm-hmm.
where, honestly, Leah, when I came up with this, was on a radio show when a sports doctor said to me privately on a break, you know, you've got something way bigger than quitting kids here. And I went, I have quitting culture, right? It was like I saw the colors, I saw the font, I saw like it was like boom. And so I've been very reluctant to change, and yet I keep getting these people that I consider quite smart saying,
Mm-hmm.
"Not sure this is a good name for you."
Right.
Yeah.
So great and great additional insight because it's like now she's like vibrating like Jensen. Okay, so this is the great stuff because with insights, downloads from the Oracle, internal insights, intuitions,
Mhm.
that is that's a divine insight. It's a concept. It's a conceptual insight,
Mhm.
right? So the concept of addressing the quitting culture stays. And she's like, that's the gold. The thing about the name is that your commitment, not used accidentally, your commitment to that concept and the care and movement of that concept has to be stronger than what you name it.
Mm.
And you have to feel it's almost like yeah, she's saying like mama bear.
I have to
Yeah.
protector
Yeah,
of it.
you kind of have to mama bear up about it. And so it's not you can change the name. And even if you change the name, it still has to be about that quitting culture. Like the
Yes.
concept has to. So if you, I guess the thing there is like she's showing me like this is the core of it. Like she's like it's the thing.
Yeah.
You could name it orange. You know, like what is that? There's that orange. I don't know. That just came from financial thing.
Yeah.
Right. So you could name it whatever. It really only change it if you can keep it clear that that's the core.
Okay.
And mama bear that. Like be clear that you're not changing it. And it's I I can understand and I work with my own mentors and coaches and no matter what, you have to go back to you. Like you have to I have there's a saying that I use in my group, so I'm going to share it now because I think it's relevant, which is at the end of everything, you are the only person who will know everything you did and why.
Mm-hmm.
And you're the only one that has to go to bed for that last night with that information.
Right. Right. Thank you. Mm-hmm.
So this is one of those moments when in this context, fine, change it. But change it from that mama bear perspective of I'm changing this name because I want it to look like this because I've chosen to do this and it still holds true.
Okay.
How does that land for you here?
Thank you. Yeah, I can see that. And I really do have a very strong mama bear feeling about this. Like, I know I need to do this. This is not like an option. It's not like, oh, I
Right.
have this great idea. that was, like counter to everybody's thoughts about quitting. Like, why would I come up with that, right? Like,
And honestly, most of the really, really good ideas are counter. Like that's the whole point of it. Like to bring something new to life, you have to go counter to something that's already there.
right.
So it may be harder, right? Like I was saying in the beginning. Remember I did say that. So, when we really do find our purpose, it's not always easy.
Right.
It's not always easy.
Right.
And what really, when we know it's really what it, like you said, like it is our purpose, is because we do go mama bear about it. Like, no, but this is really it. I get it.
Yeah.
So it's like making it palatable, making it accessible, all of those marketing-esque things,
Mhm.
they can still play a role, but like I said, it's just keep going back to like at the end of the day, you gotta own it. You gotta know that whatever it looks like, it's still fine, I'm gonna cuss, hell yes to you. Like
Yeah.
that's okay. It can't be like wishy-washy, sort of like you can't, like for example, she's like, it can't be like murky. So it can't be like, oh, well, we're talking about quitting culture, so we'd change it to I can't even think of what the option would be. Let's say always achieving. I don't know, like what it's like. You're not just gonna bring it back to like whatever, like just to kind of flip it. It
Yeah.
can't be that. It can't be that trite. I guess.
Thank you.
Does that land? Does that make sense?
Yeah, because somebody suggested, Robin, it probably should be something like cross the finish line. I'm like,
Yeah. Okay, so if you're asking me, really, like I gotta like go heck, heck no, no, do not do that. I was like, she's like, oh gosh, no, 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 no. And so I think whatever it is, if you decide, I mean, there's still room to decide. And I get all of those angles, like from a coaching perspective, I'm like, yeah, I get that. And bottom line, she just keeps going, like, this is you. Okay, I'm going to say this to you because this is important for everybody to hear who's watching. Once you find your purpose, please hold on to it. Please, like this is an amazing thing that you are so clear. Mm-hmm. So anything that makes you unclear about it, that's not okay. That's not helpful. And I'm not to say that you don't reflect or you don't take things in, but you take them in and then toss them aside if they make it more confusing. If they add insight, if they add nuance to something, you're like, okay, yeah, like that sort of fits, and maybe you're kind of building with it, but it's really important. And like I said, this is not just for you, but for anybody listening, like if you find your purpose and you can ground in it, then all that stuff, first of all, of course, 50% of it is their stuff anyway. I mean, no matter who it is, it's just natural. And sometimes it's aligned and sometimes it's not. So it's like all that stuff is secondary to you because you have to do it. It's your purpose.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah.
Right. Totally.
Yeah.
If you find your purpose, don't let it go, right? Because that's so many of us get lost just looking for what is that thing. And then when you find it, like, you ever give it over to anybody else? Like, why would you give that power away, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So that's that. Yeah. So is that helpful? Does that feel complete to you to get that insight? Awesome. Great. Oh my God. What a great question, by the way. So lucky all of us for getting to be here to kind of witness that expression. And yeah, absolutely. Like find your purpose, hold on tight, whatever that takes. So I know that you came, and before we were talking, and you've been so gracious to offer us a special gift for the people that are watching. So I'm going to prep that up here on the screen so we can get to it. Why don't you tell us a little bit about this special gift that you're giving everybody?
Yeah, I'd love to. So one of the things I created this summer after I had this epiphany was a course, and it's very short, less than 30 minutes of videos and a beautiful workbook that goes with it that you can just download right online. It's an online course, and it takes you through 6 steps, and we've kind of been talking about them, and it's helped. So it's called the klepto code because the steps spell out the word klepto, like stop stealing from yourself. That's the idea of stop stealing time and energy. So get clarity. List all of your current outstanding commitments, promises, and agreements. Evaluate each of them and eliminate them accountably. Prioritize what you've got left. take action, take massive action on what you're supposed to do, what you know that you're supposed to do, and then observe and acknowledge and congratulate yourself on the things that you do. So I take you through that in a really easy way. There's some videos, there's a workbook, and the goal is that you just start to go through this process of noticing. Like, the feedback I've gotten is, I did not know I had that many things like hanging out there in my head, right? And people have also said, I didn't ever consider that there was a process that by which I could let go of things in some way that it didn't feel bad. So, it can be really, really helpful just as a starting point. And it's complete in and of itself. You don't have to go do a bunch of other things. If you repeated this process a few times a year, you would really maximize your time and energy, I believe.
I love it. And I'm all for that. I'm always for that, because I think that's, like I said, it's all energy. And if we're wasting it on things that are not serving our purpose, then we are wasting time and we're wasting energy. I love it. Thank you so much for being the guest tonight. Thank you for the offer. I am excited. If you guys are watching this and you have questions, more questions about quitting, please feel free to leave them in the chat. I don't see any questions right now, so tonight we won't be answering those. But if you do, and you're watching this show as a replay, feel free to go ahead and put your questions in the chat log. And both myself and Robin will be taking a look at that, and we'll answer what we can online. And if you really want to know more about what she's up to and get yourself clear of all those little nagging thoughts, I suggest you go to quittingculture.com/giveaway and take her up on her delicious and very grateful offer to help you clear that clutter. Thank you so much, Robin. I appreciate you, and I appreciate you being here tonight.
Thank you. It was wonderful. I totally enjoyed it. And thank you for connecting with the Oracle and giving me some feedback. Greatly appreciate that.
Yes. Keep us posted. Keep us posted. Change it. Yes. Thank you. All right, everyone. That's it for us tonight. If you are watching this and you would like some more assistance like Robin had, and want to find out more about how you can align with your purpose, I encourage you, of course, to go to powerbizquiz.com, where you can find out how aligned you actually are right now with your highest power and your purpose. So powerbizquiz.com. Come on back next Wednesday. Well, actually, no show next Wednesday, because here in America, it is Thanksgiving week. It's a week now. Did you know that? Okay, so it is. And so we won't be having this show, but we will have a replay. So come on back, watch the replay, and we'll be back again 1st of December with another amazing guest talking about the power of purpose, the power of how we can actually utilize what is very innate in our nature, which is our purpose in life. So remember, you are here on purpose. Bye now. Awesome.